Welcome back to the Kirk Miller Podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about the subject around anti-safety and the competitive edge of risk. I've got some notes here to try and keep me on point as I veer off from time to time, and no doubt will in this episode. But I just wanted to share 4 main points today around the subject of anti-safety and why playing safe possibly might be holding you back. I'm very fortunate inside the Built to Last community and within my coaching program to work with some incredibly successful entrepreneurs, business owners, industry leaders. And if there's one thing I've noticed in the best of these, they embrace risk, especially at times when there's volatility in the world. Like now, for example, there's a lot of conflict in the world, a lot of political issues, political changes, a lot of fear-mongering, certainly in the UK, that can massively impact how we think, the decisions we make, and how brave or not we are around health, relationships, business, and life. Now, I'm still a work in progress in all of these areas. But if there's one thing that's helped me accelerate my life in the last 6-7 years in particular, it's being ballsy, it's leaning into challenge and not retreating when other people retreat. The greatest leaders I coach and the greatest leaders I look up to all carry this similar trait. So if you are someone perhaps feeling a little bit anxious right now, whether it's in business and life or with your health or with your energy, with your confidence, because of external conflict or day-to-day issues, I believe if you listen to this podcast, it's going to give you a little bit different perspective, some questions to think about, and hopefully renewed inspiration to do what you know you already do or have done at your best that's taught you to where you want to be in your career. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, listen to this and you're a little bit worried right now around different things, again, personally, professionally, emotionally, hopefully the 4 things I'm going to cover will give you a different perspective and way of thinking. So the first main point I want to discuss is the illusion of safety. As I've got in my notes here, waiting for the perfect time is nonsense. Of course, sometimes there are optimal times to start certain things, start certain projects, start certain journeys, start certain business, start a certain plan perhaps, that is more specific with health and fitness. But from my experience, all my years of coaching and dealing with an awful lot of people and being fortunate enough to be in very high level conversations, waiting for the perfect moment can paralyze you. If you do nothing changes. I'm sure you've heard that quote before. A lot of people often will put off that project because it's not the perfect time. Certainly with health and fitness, people say, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. I'm going to wait till there's not a lot going on. It's fucking nonsense. It's nonsense. If you're an entrepreneur in particular, listen to this. Did you honestly start your business at the perfect time and not expect challenge? I'm yet to coach an entrepreneur who had all these perfect conditions and then they just sailed through their entrepreneurial journey. Same with health and fitness. If you are someone who has a family, has people to manage, people to lead, people to influence, you will know that every single week there is something that gets in the way of your initial intentions and plans. You're always going to be firefighting in some way. From my experience, even if someone's got the perfect food plan, there's always going to be something, certainly around a weekend or a last minute business meeting, that might affect someone's initial intentions of what they could and should have eaten. And one thing we pride ourselves on in Built to Last is giving people an answer for all seasons, because the 52 weeks that make up a year are totally different. And the reason I feel so strongly about this, if you are someone who has never managed consistency across 12 months of the year, you will know one of the reasons for that is because there would have been different curveballs that influence your emotions, that influence your decisions at different times of the year. So a question I want to probe with you around the illusion of safety is this. What goal have you been delaying because you've been waiting for the right time? And what is it costing you? A lot of the time we'll say we're not going to start that journey because it's not the right time. But what is it costing you by not starting that journey or not pursuing that goal? There's a cost and a benefit to pretty much every decision you make. But what have you been putting off or delaying because it's not the right time? And how long have you been saying this to yourself for? And what is it costing you, and who is it potentially impacting? The next one, use risk as your edge. You know, certainly if you're an entrepreneur and business owner or someone who's worked their way up to a certain position, that has not came without risk. I can almost guarantee you are at your absolute best when you embrace risk and you lean into it. It forces you to grow. How many times have you been terrified of making a certain decision, taking a certain action, throwing yourself in the deep end, and you've just stepped up. You've done what you needed to do. You've acted the way you needed to act, and you learnt more about yourself. We cannot grow without challenge, and we cannot grow without embracing risk. Of course, it doesn't mean being reckless, but if you are teetering on the edge of being brave to lean into something, push through it. You know you've done it before. Trust yourself to do it again. Think about the riskiest times in your life. What did you say to yourself? What did you do? And how did you feel the other side when you embraced the risk, backed yourself, stepped up and delivered? Could have been in business, could have been in health, could have been in a personal relationship. But what did you say to yourself? What did you do? And a question I encourage you to ask yourself is, what would happen if you trusted yourself to take that risk today? Not tomorrow, not next week. If you genuinely trusted yourself to lean into that risk and just trust yourself, what's the worst that could happen and what's the payoff? And what can you do right now? Third one, this is around identity. For me, playing safe hurts your identity. Avoiding risks without question chips away at your identity. For me, it affects your self-worth, it affects your character, and you condition yourself to be someone who will retreat the moment the going gets tough. You will retreat the moment the going gets tough, or self-doubt creeps in, fear creeps in. For me, entrepreneurship is all about thriving on challenge, not comfort. And I believe if you look back at your year and life today, you would have enough evidence that when you don't play too safe and you step up and you roll the dice, you grow, greater results come. It could be in business, it could be a bigger deal, bigger growth, a bigger mission, a bigger vision, or even your health and fitness. When you haven't played safe, for example, in a training session and you've trusted yourself to lift more, what happened? It's impossible to change your physique, for example, if you're playing safe all the time. Your body and your mind has to adapt. Growth is a spiritual need. It makes us feel good and makes us want more of that feeling. Fourthly, let me go back to the key question on that actually, around playing safe and hurting your own identity. How much longer can you afford to play small before it starts affecting who you are? How much longer can you afford to play small before it starts affecting who you are? Why is this so important? Who you are and how you see yourself is going to impact your beliefs, and your habits are going to be aligned to your beliefs about what you believe you can do or do not do. Your daily habits and the quality of your daily habits are only going to reach the standard of your identity, how you see yourself, how you believe others perceive you, how confident you believe others perceive you to be. Fourthly, take imperfect action. I think one of the reasons entrepreneurs, and I've done this in the past too, put off taking action is because they believe the journey is too hard, the mountain is too high to get to where they want to be. So rather than thinking you need to get from A to Z straight away, what is just one small step, one small action that you can take right now that builds momentum? That's all is needed to create momentum, is one small step. Trust yourself. Figure it out. You always have. You have enough evidence in your life, and for many people it's going to be their career, that at some point where you were, or where you are, was just an aspiration, just a dream. But you had to start somewhere. And one of the reasons you'd have followed through, even if you were a little bit scared of starting, is you had a deeper meaning behind that end outcome that you were striving towards. It was likely to be you wanted financial freedom, you wanted certain status, you wanted to be in a certain position because you believed your life would be better. But you had to start somewhere. So even if it's the same motivation that you have to use, if there is something you are putting off right now and you're letting fear override your decision making, draw back on what you said to yourself when you started for the first time on that journey towards maybe your current career. Who did you need to be? What did you need to say? What did you do to take that first step? And if you've done it once, you can do it again. So the question to ask yourself is, what's one small step right now, no matter how imperfect? What's one small step right now, no matter how imperfect? Is it make a call? Is it invest in something? Is it asking for help? Is it reaching out to someone? What is it? But do it as soon as possible. The longer you put off taking action that you know you should be doing, the more confidence drains, the more it affects your self-worth, the more it affects your identity. And as I said at the start of this episode, I'm very fortunate to be around some very smart people in Built to Last, and friends who are very high net worth individuals and in shape, and for me, tick a lot of all-round boxes. And if there's one thing I've noticed with all of them, irrelevant of turmoil and chaos in the world, they step up, they work harder, they get better, they make sure they're in shape, they make sure their confidence, internally, externally, publicly and professionally, is at the top of the top of the top. Because people will magnetize that. Whether it's clients, they're going to be drawn towards you. Whether it's certain friends or peers that you wanted to attract into your life, you're going to magnetize that like a magnet. Okay? Last question I'm going to ask is, where are you playing it too safe? Is it in your relationships or potential relationship? Is it in business and career? Or is it with your health and fitness? Removing all the noise right now, where are you playing too safe right now? And take action. Look at the upside. Yes, there's a risk and a downside to everything, but focus on the upside and the benefit on your life over the next few months that's going to take you into the end of this year in a much better position. Because chaos doesn't last, but strong leaders do. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time.